Hi again, everyone. Let's welcome our next speaker, Hugo, founder and CEO of Silentus. He was awarded by Rotterdam School of Management I Will Journey Award in April 2022 for a recycling initiative. Today, he brings us the topic productivity and well-being. So let me quickly hide myself, and the stage will be yours.
Thanks, Sharul, for having me, and good afternoon, everyone. Let me share my screen for a few slides that I have prepared. I think everybody can see the slide. Can you confirm, Sharul, that you can see? Everybody can see. I don't have the chat here with me, but I
Yeah, we
can
can.
imagine.
We
All
can see.
right, all right. Okay, perfect, perfect. Thanks. So yes, good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Hugo Valdivia, and I'm the founder of Silentus. A bit about myself. I've been living in the Netherlands for a bit longer than a decade. In January, it's going to be 11 years, and I'm a graduate of both INSEAD and RSM. I built my corporate career in finance and operations, primarily in tech and FMCG industries. And I have been in the world of entrepreneurship for about 4 years already. And about 1 year ago, I started working on Silentus. I love football or soccer, as they would say in America, and I also like reading both fiction and non-fiction books. So I would be happy to connect on LinkedIn for any recommendations that you have for interesting books or just questions about career and productivity and well-being. I would be happy to follow up on LinkedIn. So with no further ado, there are two topics that I would like to touch base on today, and they are basically around the area of understanding and knowing our priorities, what really matters for us in terms of maximizing our time and energy. And the second one is how to beat and fight procrastination. And the reason I picked these two topics is because under the current trends of remote work, but also other hot topics like the quiet quitting and the great resignation, being able to work productively but also healthy, so around the well-being, it's very on-demand topic and very popular these days. So that's why I decided to give this quick keynote on these two areas. And I would like to start by telling you how to understand or know our priorities. And in general, we are very familiar with the concept of what is priority for us, but are we really sure that we know how to identify a priority? And in case we are not certain, my first recommendation says that if you can draw a clear and direct line between a certain task and your company's objectives or your client's objectives, if you are an independent worker, that task is a priority. If you cannot draw that clear line, I would say park that task for later until you can really define whether that direct relationship exists. Then, once you have identified your priorities, I would say to establish your routine and establish a routine for success, pick no more than three priorities on any given day. And the reason is that we are worse at multitasking than what we believe, actually. We are plenty of research. There is a lot of research out there that says that our IQ actually decreases when we multitask to the level that our cognitive levels go down and can be comparable to the cognitive level of an 8-year-old kid, which basically means that if you are drafting, for example, an important email for your manager or your most important client, and you are multitasking in that moment, you can basically bring an 8-year-old kid and let her write that email. It's the same. And then it's important to identify our priorities and work on one by one, but also it's very important to be time consistent and to understand whether we prefer or we value more immediate rewards in comparison to long-term ones. And the most famous example of time inconsistency is procrastination. Procrastination is the action of delaying or postponing something. I personally believe that procrastination is not bad per se, because actually the moments that we procrastinate can lead to moments of happiness as well. So it's not bad per se. However, when it comes to work productively and keep a healthy work-life balance, procrastination is not the best method or best friend for our schedule. So here I would like to show you few time management techniques that would help you beat procrastination. And the first one is a famous one, is the Pomodoro technique. Perhaps you are familiar with Pomodoro technique, but if you are not, this consists of intervals of 25 minutes of focus work with short breaks of 5 minutes. And after you do this sequence for 4 times in a row, then you can have a longer break of around half an hour. The second technique is the getting things done method, which was started by David Allen. And he says that once we have visibility on all the things that we have on our plate, we can prioritize, we can tackle tasks individually, and then we can achieve what we need to achieve. David Allen is also an advocate for using technology next to this method. So, for example, to create to-do lists, because we can adjust this to-do list on a mobile app, for example, in a cleaner way than if we were doing our to-do list on paper. But more importantly, he's an advocate for technology because we could share this to-do list with friends or colleagues, and that would help with our accountability because people can be after us, after our progress, looking after our progress. The third technique is the Pareto principle, which says that 20% of the effort brings 80% of the result. Basically, these 20% of the effort are our priorities. So by focusing on these three priorities on a day, for example, as I said earlier, this will bring 80% of the result in our schedule. And the last one is eat the frog, which basically means that we start our routine or we tackle our schedule by starting with the most complex and difficult task. We build momentum and then we move to the, let's say, less complex or kind of more simple priorities that we have in our agenda. This list is, of course, not comprehensive. These are four popular techniques. However, there are two others that I personally like to use. So, for example, time blocking. Time blocking, in my case, is I check emails, for example, early morning and also late afternoon before logging off. And those are the two moments when I check my emails. During the rest of the day, I'm doing other meaningful work. Of course, take it with a pinch of salt because this really depends on your schedule and your agenda and also your personal preference. But time blocking can be also useful to beat procrastination. And another technique is time boxing. Time boxing, for example, is allocating a given time slot on a moment during the day to reach one goal. Currently, I am raising money for my company, so I use time boxing on certain days for 2 hours to build a pipeline of investors or connectors. So in those 2 hours, my goal is to add 25 more names to my list, to my pipeline, categorize them in terms of how good match they are for my type of business, and also find a connector who can provide with a warm introduction. I need to achieve that goal in those 2 hours. So that's an example of time boxing. Now, you might be wondering why I am here telling you about these techniques and why to fight procrastination. And it's because I used to struggle with these problems of lack of focus and also burnout. And when I was wondering if I was alone, I discovered that we are about 165 million high skilled freelancers. I used to be one freelancer for in the finance industry or in the finance functional area of a couple of industries. And basically, these high skilled freelancers, as a result of increasing notifications, each of them wastes or loses about 500 hours per year. that they could be using to add value through their job or also enjoy time with their families and friends. But on top of that, because of these increasing notifications and lack of boundaries between personal time and work hours, more than half of them are feeling burnout. And this is not only a problem for these freelancers, this is a problem that we are all paying because this is costing more than $300 billion to the world's economy. So when I look at these numbers and I saw how big the problem was, and it still is, I decided together with my team to work on Silentus. And Silentus is a mobile productivity app that wants to help freelancers, starting freelancers, but in general, anyone who does professional work, high skill work, to increase their focus and maximize their time and energy by fighting procrastination. How will we do? I'm going to show you a very short clip on what we are building at the moment. I'm sure that the sound might be working, but it's very short just in case the sound is not being picked up by the audio. But just bear with me because it's 30-second short clip that I want to show. Yes, so now to finalize, because we are, I think, already with the time mark, I would like to get your feedback. So you have my email there. If you have any feedback around not only the chat today, but also career or productivity and well-being, I invite you to reach out on LinkedIn or by email. But also, I would like to invite you to download Silentus, sign up, and of course, leave your feedback because we are in the market for only 3 months and in few days. So then it's the early days to validate our solution and of course improve on our offer. So that will be all from my side, and I really appreciate your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hugo, for such a wonderful session. And we have some questions from the audience, so I'll show one or two questions on the screen. The first one is here.
What are the main factors that affect productivity? Yeah, that's a good question. I think what affects productivity in our experience is the lack of clarity. So by you not being able to identify what your priorities are or how difficult or complex these tasks are, this affects your productivity because you basically struggle to once kick off on your schedule, and second to keep your energy levels and motivation up so you can really make it to the end of the day and achieve as you were planning to achieve. So lack of clarity for me is one of the most important factors affecting productivity.
Thank you so much. And the next question is this one. How did you incorporate productivity techniques in Silentus?
Yes, I appreciate that question. So at the moment, what we have is we are offering time management techniques, like we have a Pomodoro timer on Silentus. It's already available. But also one of our core functionalities is the possibility to create allowed lists for contacts and apps that are relevant for your job. So then you discard other distractions, but you don't miss the important ones that are relevant. So that gives you a good starting point. So you have the right setup to start with your focus mode without missing on any important notification. That's what is available. But what is coming now and is under development is what we call an anti-procrastination tool, which is going to look like a goal tracking tool. However, it goes beyond, because once the user enters some parameters for a given goal. For example, I want to, as a copywriter, you want to write a 10,000 word blog article for your client, and you enter parameters like your deadline is for tomorrow at this time. You have 24 hours, but based on your past activity, your success rate is going to be low. So then Silentus will help you with some recommendations. You extend the deadline or you split the task into smaller chunks. In that way, you can still achieve your goal, but you don't need to go longer hours, sacrificing your well-being or sacrificing weekends just for the sake of meeting your deliverables. So that's how we are gonna implement this anti-procrastination tool.
Okay. And there is one more very interesting question which I can see. So I'm just showing it on screen and we have only 1 minute. Just check it. Uh, does working remotely helps in increasing productivity?
I am an advocate for remote work, and I think as long as you have the right setup and your priorities crystal clear, your productivity will be standard and even above. I think remote work shouldn't be an enemy of productivity at all.
Okay. Thank you so much, Hugo, again for answering all the questions. And the session is very interesting. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the session. We are here to end the session, and you can join the next one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All the best.